Yes, guys. Hello and welcome back to the SpursRelated YouTube channel and podcast. I hope everyone is doing very well today. Today, we have got a massive update, all things to do with Tottenham Hotspur transfer news, including around links to Manchester City's winger Savinho, which are very, very much hotting up. Looks like it's getting very close, according to Fabrizio Romano, David Ornstein, and the likes. And Eberechi Eze, we've been talking about him for the last 2 or 3 months. That's sort of spiced back up. We're going to bring you the latest on that as well. But guys, if you do enjoy these transfer update live streams, we haven't done one in around 6 days. So hopefully you haven't missed us too much. But please do smash the thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more going forwards. That would be greatly appreciated. We're on our march to 4K. Hopefully we can get there by sort of the first few weeks of the season. So really appreciate all the support. And just a reminder before I do kick things off and bring you all the latest news alongside my co-host, we also have a membership option where you can become a SpursRelated member. You can come on live panel shows throughout the season. And also there's a super chat option if you do want to skip the queue in the chat and ask us a question, all things to do with transfers. But as I said, I'm alongside my co-host, Frank Thomas, a.k.a. Thomas Frank's AI son. Frank, it's been a few days, mate. How are you doing?
It's been a while. I'm all right. It feels nice that we've got some positive Tottenham news for once. Some actual Tottenham news for once, to be honest. It feels like it's been, I said to you before, that it's been completely dead silent at Tottenham. It feels like for about 2 or 3 weeks now. Since the Gibbs-White thing sort of fell through, it feels like it's been dead silent for a long time. So it's nice that we got some noise, something to talk about, something a bit different and something quite exciting.
Absolutely, mate. Finally, a bit of transfer news to get into. Like, I feel like we were doing it once a day and then sort of everything went a bit quiet after the whole Morgan Gibbs-White saga. So yeah, really excited to be talking about a couple of new links, 1 or 2 new links, but certainly 1 or 2 familiar faces. But obviously, you know, let's get into it and discuss with the chat. And guys, as we go along, if you're watching on repeat, please do get your comments in. I reply to every single comment without fail. And if you are watching live, stick your comment into the chat and perhaps you'll even cause a talking point. But Frank, let's get into things. Hopefully we can do a few bits where we interact with the chat. But as per David Ornstein, as we were talking about Savinho, and Tottenham are in talks with Man City to sign Savinho. Obviously, Savinho only been at Man City, I believe, a season. And Man City not actively wanting to sell, but 50 million euros deal being discussed. 21-year-old open to the Tottenham Hotspur move, and Pep Guardiola tends not to block when players want out. As we know, Man City are very much rotating door. They don't seem to keep still with their squad. You know, even the likes of, I think, like Gundogan being a very key player, left to Barcelona. Then he came back. You know, Man City, you never know what their starting lineup's going to be at the start of the year. And I think this is just another example. You know, Savinho did play a fair amount of games last season. And it's interesting to see that we are very much progressing in talks and very much, well, I mean, Frank, the way it's going, the way it's progressed even in the last 24 hours, we could be looking at here we go this week, maybe. What do you reckon?
Yeah. Can I pick up a comment very quickly before I talk about Savinho?
Go on.
And it's this about, I don't want to talk about him for ages because all we've done over the last 2 months is talk about Gibbs-White. But I saw his name pop up a few times again today. And amongst the PTSD of everything, I saw a couple of rumours that they might look at it still, and they are still looking at it from maybe not the most trusted of sources, but they are still looking at it, that it might just be they've taken the clause out and they're going to have to pay 70 now if they want him, or a little bit more than originally planned. It would be hilarious solely because everything that's gone on. It would be an incredible chance to make a fantastic announcement video of thank you to Mr. Levy. It would be brilliant. I don't think it will happen, but I think that's worth a very quick talking point.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
can I be honest though? I think we, no matter what happens with Gibbs-White, I mean, I think for me, I think it's pretty clear he's going to stick at Forest. I mean, given what's happened and the fact that he seems to be the poster boy for their new kits and everything else, and I just don't think that whole interview would have happened if he wasn't sticking around. But like you said, yeah, like we said, we don't want to talk about Gibbs-White. But it would be interesting to see what happens, even if it is next transfer window or, next summer with him. But to be honest with you, I've actually got to the point where I don't want Morgan Gibbs-White. And I'm not just saying that for copium. Like I said, I really genuinely believe that there is better options out there. And we're going to be discussing one of them, who's in the thumbnail of the video as a number 10 and can play on the wing. And I think he's just a much better all-round player. In my opinion, people may argue, but I think Eberechi Eze is a better player than Morgan Gibbs-White. I think he has more to offer, and I just think he's a more exciting player. Personally, I don't think Morgan Gibbs-White is a bad player. I think he's quality as well, but I just think Eberechi Eze has been there all summer long, and Arsenal have been in talks, Tottenham have been in talks apparently, according to various sources. But I just feel like this is now the opportunity, and I believe, Frank, you're able to correct me if I'm wrong, I believe his release clause of £68 million, that almost expires soon, or so I've been told. Who knows what the depths of the contract actually explain? But I've heard that if anyone wants to get the 68 million, it's got to be this week. So it feels like a really key and pivotal week for Tottenham Hotspur's transfer window. And I think we're going to see one, maybe two new signings probably before we kick a ball on Saturday against Burnley. And obviously, we've got a huge week. We haven't even discussed the fact we've got the Super Cup coming up. We've got the first game of the season coming up, all in the space of 6 days. I mean, talking about leaving your homework to the last minute, Frank, I think it's crazy to see. But we got a few in the chat. COYS says, this person in the chat, really appreciate you being here. Rosie Bear Bryant is in here from Facebook. Easy Grow on a budget. Love that name. I'm not holding my breath, he says. And Jack saying, agreed, hope we throw the kitchen sink at Eze. But guys, let's get back to talking about Savinho and what the latest is on here. As per David Ornstein, Frank, you brought this one up, which is very interesting comparison to Brennan Johnson. And when I say comparison, it couldn't be further from a comparison, really, because, well, they're not comparable. You just look at Brennan Johnson's, I guess, narrow textbook of attributes. It's very much scarce compared to what Savinho offers. And guys, by the way, Savio is Savinho. I've already had this chat with Frank. We couldn't work out if it's Savio or Savinho because I think he's been called a couple of different ones of those. But guys, what do you think of this Savinho news? And Frank, I'm going to flip the mic to you. Just talk us through this diagram, mate, because that doesn't look great on Johnson, does it?
It doesn't. I want to sort of make it clear as well. This isn't in any way a dig at Brennan Johnson. Brennan Johnson was someone that people had their criticism about, but he last season bagged 20-odd goals in all competitions, scored the most important goal that a lot of us have seen in recent times in Bilbao. So this is no way whatsoever a dig to Brennan Johnson. It's just that, players have different attributes. And whilst Johnson's very good at scoring goals and being a bit of a poacher and doing that sort of side of things, his 1v1 technical side is, a complete shadow of what Savinho has and in his locker. And so simply like when we looked at, I can't remember which two players it was. It was Kudus. It was Kudus and Brennan Johnson. That was it. That they are polar opposites, but sometimes you need that. You can't have a squad full of these dribblers because there'll be teams that break that down and block that down. So you need different options. And I mean, a lot of Savinho's assists, if you look at them throughout, I think he got 8 assists in the league last season. A lot of them were balls into the back post and there was Haaland there or whoever there. That it might work out that these two work well together. That Johnson's someone that's good at running in late and entering the box late. And Savinho is someone that can deliver a good cross. I mean, there's see there at the top of the screen, shot creating actions on the top left of this sort of circle. Savinho is miles ahead of Brennan Johnson. His creative side is second to none compared to a lot of other wingers in the Premier League. Johnson less so. So I think both will be important for Tottenham this season, and certainly different things if Savinho comes in. But yeah, I mean, as I say, it's not a criticism of Brennan Johnson. I think they could work well together, especially I think as well if Johnson gets used as a striker, which the longer the window goes on, I'm starting to question if he might do.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like Brennan Johnson won't be starting on the right against Burnley. I would be surprised. I think it's pretty much nailed on to be Kudus, the way that the preseason's sort of panned out and who's got more game time. And I just think overall, I think Thomas Frank prefers Kudus. Clearly, it's his main marquee signing this summer. And I just believe that Brennan Johnson will be utilised in other ways. I think as that second striker, as we were discussing, Frank, but also perhaps, as a late substitution, and to change the dynamic, change the formation, maybe two up front. He very much was playing more of a striker role at Nottingham Forest anyway. And, the way that Ange used him, it was very much on the right-hand side. It was limited, in what he could deliver. Beating players is not his forte, as we've discussed. And I just think, actually, Savinho would be a very exciting player, almost more similar to Kudus in the fact that he'll beat his man one-on-one. He's a decent player. He's a decent deliverer of the ball, and breaking it down further, I believe it's he gets a goal contribution every other game when you break it down in the minutes. The stats online will say it's 1 goal contribution every 3 games. It's more like 1 in every 2 when you break it down to 90-minute matches on average. So I think he will deliver a lot, and especially as you could have Kudus off one side, Savinho on the other. Could you get an Eberechi Eze as the 10 and Solanke up top? You start to think, actually, Frank, that is a much more attractive team, much more threatening team to opponents. At the moment, I look at that team and I'm thinking, right, Kudus, Tell, Solanke, and maybe Maddison's injured. Who's at 10? Bergvall, Pepe Matasar. Who's going to even go into that 10 position? Kulusevski's not going to be fit for a while. But then when you change that and you have a proper number 10 available, and you have a better winger on the left-hand side, plus the options off the bench, suddenly it's a different ball game, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I saw this morning when the news broke last night. I saw this morning. Obviously, he was on with us the other day at Kish at Lily White Lab. Make a really, really interesting point. It's something that I probably hadn't really thought about in regards to Eze, and that maybe Eze isn't the perfect fit if you're going to have these two on the wings. If you're going to have Savinho and Kudus on the wings, who are dribblers, maybe you need someone that is not a dribbler himself, but someone that's going to feed them, and someone that's going to play balls into them and allow them to get off and run and be direct. And I mean, he brought up Bilal El-Khanous, who is another one we've spoken about at Leicester. He's got a £25 million release clause, which I think runs out on Friday. It might be Wednesday, one of the two. I'm not sure if there's a problem that they know something that we don't, because I'm not sure why at 25 million quid, nobody in the Premier League has picked up Bilal El-Khanous yet, because no one's taken a punt on him, because I think he looks brilliant. I mean, he got man of the match in Leicester's first game yesterday of the league. He's got 2 assists, I think. He looks like a top player, so I'm surprised no one's picked him up. Maybe Tottenham are. I'd love it if Tottenham were. I think he looks brilliant. But that was quite an interesting point that I thought that maybe you need someone a bit different. Look, Bergvall is a passer, but he's not a number 10. He's not going to stay in that area and create things like Eriksen did. James Maddison can do it. Yeah, exactly. James Maddison can do it, but often he goes wandering as well, and he likes to drop deeper. And Eriksen ran a lot, but you knew when you needed him in a certain area, he was there. And that's what a natural 10 probably does. And so having an Eze there or Mikautadze there, there's a lot of names out there. It's something that would benefit Tottenham massively this season, and they need, because, as we say, Kulu I don't think we'll see until probably Christmas. That's just a hunch. That's the noise. I say he was in a wheelchair this summer for a lot of it. I know there's a video of him kicking a ball around in his garden, but I think it's highly unlikely we see Kulu fully fit before Christmas. James Maddison's probably going to miss the whole season. Odobert can play that role, but he's someone that we've seen has injury issues. Kudus can certainly play that role, so maybe we're going to see Odobert and Savinho on the wings and Kudus in the 10. I mean, I think Savinho opens up the doors for a lot of different possibilities now, and that's quite exciting.
100%, yeah, 100%. And suddenly the Tottenham fan base is sort of getting, very giddy about this, very, very excited, and suddenly it's just a roller coaster being a Tottenham fan, especially in the window. We got Bird Mizzle in the chat. Hopefully I pronounced that right, mate. He's saying he or she is saying 2 possible teams might join the race for Savinho. Bayern, Arsenal. They all need left wingers. They better hurry up if they want him. And he's also saying if we get Savinho and Khanous and no one else, what do you rate our window? I don't know about this Canoes, Frank. I'm going to be honest with you. I just don't think I don't think he's Premier League quality for what we're looking for. If we want to be, in my opinion, if we want to be serious, we need to make 2 statement signings before the end of the window. Savinho, I would class as one of them because that improves our forward line. He's a very good player. He's played for Man City for most of the season last year. Decent player, exciting. Do have some question marks about some of his output, which I'll get into in just a minute. But having said that, as I said, a goal contribution every 2 games is pretty decent off the wing. I just think that would be a statement. And the other one is obvious. It's Eberechi Eze. We've talked about it so many times on this channel. I'm almost getting sick of it. Like, I don't understand why no one has gone in for him more. And maybe they have. Maybe Fabrizio Romano just doesn't, hasn't picked up on it or whatever. It seems doubtful. But I just can't get my head around someone of Eberechi Eze's class, why no team in even the top 6 has made more of a move and shown more intent. It's just, we were talking about it when we went live last week about Son. He's our poster boy. He's our global poster boy, 100%. Harry Kane was it when Son was here as well. They both were. It was Kane and Son. Before that, go back a few years. You look at Gareth Bale. Before that, go back a few years. You look at Modric, right? Who have Tottenham got now? And not to go off on a rant, where you could recognise them around the world, right? I'd say the top one is probably James Maddison and maybe Romero. But it's not an attacking player. So in terms of an attacking player, it's probably James Maddison as the most well recognised in that team. Would you agree? And so,
yeah,
you don't agree.
I don't think any of them are really. I mean,
But that's what I mean. I'm clutching at straws.
Yeah, I mean, Maddison probably of the attacking lot is the closest you'll get. I think Romero probably is globally because of the World Cup. But I think if you're, I mean, as you say though, we haven't got one.
But that's not necessarily a terrible thing. Like that's not like Spurs can't do anything because we don't have a well-recognised player globally for the casual fan. But what I'm saying is if you want to show more intent, Eberechi Eze is a very well-known player. Many clubs around the world would want him. I said to you before, I think even he could play for the likes of Bayern Munich. You look at Elise, went from Palace. I don't think Eberechi Eze is any worse than Elise. He fits into Bayern Munich. I think Eze could get into Man City's team. I think Eze could challenge in the Liverpool team in some of those positions. And so Tottenham have the opportunity, clearly, to go in and make a statement. We've got Champions League football. We get that. Palace got confirmed today that they're only going to be playing Conference League football. What would Eze rather do? Play Champions League football or Conference League football? We've got a better stadium than them. We've got a better training ground than them. We've got clearly a better vision than them. So go and show it. Go and put the money down for Eberechi Eze and get this done. I said I wouldn't go on a rant, but I have. But it's just like the amount of people in the chat that will say Eze is the signing. Everyone in the whole club should know it's the perfect signing. And yeah, maybe we shouldn't go down a tunnel where it's only one signing we should be looking at. But for me, that would completely transform Tottenham and make a real statement to the fans. Because I tell you what's going to happen, Frank. You said it on your last video when you were on here. People are just going to go nuts if we don't make more signings before the end of the window. There's going to be more protests. There's going to be more pressure on Levy and Enoch. The disarray in the fan base will get worse. Thomas Frank will have a terrible start as manager because he'll be under the cosh and under the pressure straight away from this environment. Go out and make a signing and go and make Eze the number one player. Ronnie's saying Elise is better than Eze. I'm sorry, I don't agree. I'm not saying your opinion's wrong. I just don't agree. Frank, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's I kind of want to go on from what you said there about the protests and things and how it builds up and pressure. And bear in mind, we haven't signed Savinho yet. And I don't want to rant because I did a little bit the other day. Bear in mind, we haven't signed Savinho yet. That's something so push that aside. We play PSG in the Super Cup in 2 days' time. We play Burnley in 4 days' time. 4 or 5 days' time?
Yeah.
5 days' time. There's been a complete negligence, of the team this summer, and I don't want to rant. I don't want to, but the ownership have been pretty much a disgrace. I would go as far as saying this summer, unless they pull the rabbit out of the hat and go and get 2 or 3 big players now. They've been a disgrace. We won in Bilbao on the 21st of May. They sacked Ange, I think, on the 6th of June or the 7th of June. It was that weekend. And so they spent whatever it was, 2-3 weeks working out whether they're going to sack him. They spent 2 or 3 weeks then letting Thomas Frank come in. Oh, they got Thomas Frank in after a week. Then let's 2 or 3 weeks letting him see the squad, see what he thinks of the players, this and that. And then they spent 3 weeks looking at Morgan Gibbs-White. They got Eze, they got Kudus done relatively quickly, but 3 weeks later, Gibbs-White. Yeah, but we are sat here on the 11th of August. We've got a Super Cup in 2 days' time and Burnley in 5 days' time. We have a guy on loan who's decent. I don't mind Paulinho. I said at the time I was a little bit confused by the sign. I don't think he was what we needed, but okay. We've got a guy on loan. We've got Tell, who we already had. We've got Takai, who's not going to play. And we've got Kudus. We have one new face that they spent money for and that will make an impact now. And so I'm slightly confused by what the actual plan is.
Yeah, I completely agree. And do you know what? Frank, it's nothing new. It's nothing new. I've done this channel for a few years on and off now, and I feel like every time it gets to this time where it's middle of August, I'm stood here saying the exact same thing, where we haven't backed the manager sufficiently. We haven't given him the resources he needs to challenge. And then a few months down the line, we go, oh, that was a 4 out of 10 window, or that was a 5 out of 10 window. And our league position reflects that. We go out of the League Cup early or the FA Cup early or both. And we're sat here saying, oh, we need emergency signings in January. Why don't we get it right in the summer for once? Like, I mean, I'm helpless. I can't do anything to influence it, and neither can you. But I can put my opinion out there, which is clear and obvious that we need to show more intent, especially when you're doing a rebuild where you brought in a new manager. You've made a very big statement and sacking Ange Postecoglou, who won Tottenham Hotspur's first trophy in 17 years. So if you're going to sack him, give the new manager exactly what he wants to show his biggest potential and kick on and make a good start. Like I find it incredible. I feel myself getting worked up, but like we may turn around in 3 days' time and have signed Savinho and Eze, but I think there's a pig outside flying. There's more chance of that happening. But let's get into more about Savinho and what potentially could happen. Guys, there's about 100 of you watching. Really do appreciate all the support on the channel. Obviously, we haven't been live as much this week because of the lack of transfer news. But if you do enjoy the content, these live streams, these debates, these analytics videos, please do me a massive favor and smash the thumbs up below. It's free to do so. It takes you 2 seconds. If you would turn on your notification bells as well, even better, because you never miss us going live or you never miss a new video that we release. And we've got more guests coming on the channel. Ben Jacobs is back on the channel very, very soon. We're just arranging a time for him to come back on, which was a great stream last time. We've got other great guests coming on in the world of Tottenham Hotspur. So please do get your subscriptions on, subscribe to the channel, like the video now, and turn on the notification bells. And as I said at the start of the video, there is a super chat option. So if I don't bring your chat up, that isn't because I don't want to. That's because we have to follow a agenda on the show, and I'll get some of them up. But if you want to skip the queue and get your comment straight on your question, I'll bring it up with a super chat. I think you can do it as cheap as £1.50 or something like that. So really, really appreciate the support. But Frank, let's talk about Savinho a little bit more. This is his FB ref in terms of his main attributes and how he compares against positional peers in the men's Big Five league, UCL and Europa League over the last 395 days. So this is based off 2,300 of his minutes, Frank. Top 88 percentile for shot creating actions. I'm just picking out a few of the ones that are standing out here. Pretty impressive. Top 96 for progressive carries, 6.6 a game. Top 94 for successful take-ons. Now, we brought up Mohamed Kudus' FB ref when we were about to sign him, Frank. And this reminds me very, very much of his similar attributes. Do you agree? And do you think that any of them stand out for the worse? I mean, progressive passes is quite low and tackles, but you'd expect tackles to be pretty low for a attacking midfielder and a winger anyway. What do you think?
I was actually going to bring up the defensive ones in quite a positive way. weirdly. I think the tackles and the interceptions, bear in mind it's against attacking midfielders and wingers. So in those attacking midfielders, you've obviously got people that are playing in midfield trios and whatever, and probably do more defending than a natural winger, especially one that plays for Manchester City. And his defending numbers, his tackles and things, and interceptions are actually pretty decent, which indicates, like Mohamed Kudus, and like we've seen with Kudus, he works quite hard. He gets back and he will help the team, which often we didn't see with Son. We didn't see with Johnson. Obviously, haven't seen enough of Teo and Odobert to suggest either way. But we've seen it with Kudus now, that he's getting back, and certainly in pre-season, he's getting back, he's helping defend, he's getting himself about. And I think those defensive numbers are actually pretty good. And so might be quite an interesting one. In terms of the dribbles, I mean, the dribbling numbers are very, very solid. I think it will be a top sign, it'll be a bright sign, and one that, again, if you've got those two on the wings of him and Kudus, it's exciting. It's very exciting.
100%. Do you think he'd start straight away? I mean, I think he would, but then some people may argue that they think Tel has potential on the left. What do you think? We've seen a lot of Tel hate, Frank. We've seen a lot of Tel hate in our comments. I don't agree with it. I think. Do you know? The only thing I agree on is the fact that we haven't given it enough time, but also when he was playing. Which game was it? Was it against Arsenal when he was 1-on-1? No, it was Bayern Munich. He was 1-on-1.
Yeah.
And he decided to do the most ridiculous step over. And it reminded me of someone that isn't taking it seriously. And surely he didn't think that was going to work. I don't know if you agree, but I think it was a silly move. But not to just pick him up on one point. I just think it's too early to tell, if you pardon the pun. And I think also maybe Savinho is the better player of the two. Do you think it's surprising, mate? And not to move on from Savinho, because I do want to stick on it for a few more minutes. Do you think it's surprising we haven't gone for another striker to back up for Solanke? Because if Solanke gets injured, you then look to Richarlison. You then look to maybe a Brennan Johnson that has to play as in the striker position. You look to Tel maybe because he's played up front for Bayern. Do you think that that's sufficient squad depth in the number 9 position? No, I don't. Is the simple answer. I mean, I'm not going to let myself rant because
do it.
I
think I've said enough on it. I think I've said enough about Richarlison though that I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan at all. I'm sure you could find my tweets from the Bayern Munich game throughout that, where I was again not a fan, and I was getting quite frustrated. Just friendly or not, he was winding me up because I think he offers very little. On and off the ball. I think his finishing is poor. I think his movement is poor. I think pretty much everything around his game is pretty poor, actually. And I think there's an opportunity to cash in for him and actually get some money back, amazingly. I think there's a chance you could probably get 25-30 million for him from somebody out there.
Who, mate, I'm playing devil's advocate. Who's going to come in now at this point of the window and bid 30 million for Richarlison? Because I don't see it.
This is the problem, and this is where Spurs, and again, the ownership, and maybe Thomas Frank wants him. I am of a stern opinion that I don't think he does. I think he's probably the complete opposite of what Thomas Frank wants. He's not someone that you can rely on for fitness. He's not someone you can rely on just generally as a player. So I think he's one that Thomas Frank won't want. I think he chirps up too often. He gets into little spats with people, and Frank won't want that. As much as you want a team that you are tough to beat, this is not the sort of player he'll want. But if he doesn't want him, then they've got to kind of do what United did with Højlund this week, and so many teams do. Chelsea do it all the time. Is tell him he ain't playing. Stop giving him this hope that he can try and say to him, sit him down and go, "You ain't part of this. I don't want you here. Go and find somewhere new." And they will, between them, they will find somewhere. And they can send him off and they can make a bit of money back, because this is why we're so bad at selling players. And so often, and then the ownership go, we haven't actually got any money to spend because we don't bring any money in. You don't bring any money in from, we said we had a cash flow problem, and that was a couple of months ago, but we don't bring any money in. Nothing comes in from player sales. Chelsea have made 900 million in the last 4 years or whatever it is, 850 million. They've made more than anyone else. Man United still make money. Manchester City in the last year have sold Julian Alvarez. They sold Cole Palmer in the last couple of years. They're looking like they're selling. Mikautadze going now. Savinho look like he might be going now. All these clubs, Arsenal aren't a very good seller either. Like us, they tend to let players sort of run down their contracts and off they go. I mean, I think their biggest sale was like Chamberlain at 35 million or something. We're lucky in that we had Kane and Kyle Walker. Other than that, there's nothing. We let Tanguy run down. We let Gio run down. They went for a combined 4 million quid or whatever. Tanganga went for nothing. I mean, the list is kind of endless. And that's a big problem. So now you've got an opportunity for Richarlison, for Bissouma, for Manuel Solomon. Brian Gill maybe less so because he's come off the back of an ACL injury. But a couple of these guys that you can make back 40, 50 million off those three alone. Yeah. Just by shutting them off and saying, you aren't a part of this now. And if you shut them off, you can go and improve. You can go and bring money in, and then you can go, actually, we have got a budget. We can go and sign a striker. I mean, I'm not sure what strikers are out there. I would have to actually do a deep dive properly. But there are, I'm sure, enough options out there that they're very highly paid scouts could probably go and find that would offer more than Richarlison this season. Sure.
No, mate, you made some very good points there, as people in the chat are saying. And I think, not to just completely echo what you're saying, because I completely agree, but I look at Chelsea I know you mentioned Chelsea, but last week they sold Broja. I forgot they even had him. I think they sold him, was it Burnley? And it was like 20-something million pounds, maybe 30 million. I'm sat there thinking, how are they getting that money for a very average player? I wouldn't say Broja is much better than Richarlison. Maybe you'll think anyone's better than Richarlison, Frank. I know you're not a fan, but Broja is not exactly world class, and he's managed to sell him for 30 million. And I'm thinking, how do they do it? I mean, we need a body that comes into Tottenham just for sales, because clearly we can't do it. I mean, Johan Langer, not even going to start on him. What's he been doing all summer? Because he was over in South Korea wishing Sonny farewell. How about wishing us some new players in? I don't get it. But anyway, Frank, there's 150 people in the chat. Really appreciate all the support, guys. As we said, please keep liking the video. It's free to do so. Let's try and get 100 likes on this live stream. It always makes me happy when we see triple figures. And subscribe if you're new. It's free to do so. And as I said before, there is the super chat option and the member. In fact, we don't have any Spurs related members, but we want to do some member shows where some of you guys watching right now come on the show, give your verdict on a particular game that's happened. And also, I'm going to be doing some things where I come up to people outside the stadium next year, interviewing fans and getting your opinions and doing fun quizzes and stuff like that. So if you join as a member, it all helps towards doing stuff like that. So really appreciate whoever wants to be the first few members. Big up to yourselves, but I really appreciate a subscribe and a like, which is free to do so and helps us out massively, as well as turning on those noti bells, as I love to demonstrate. But Frank, let's move on from Savinho. We'll find a couple points. You brought up this great piece of analysis on him. 98th percentile for progressive carries, similar to the FB ref. I think this is from Data MB. No under 21 player had more progressive carries per 90 or touches in the box per 90 in the top 7 leagues. When I've watched Savinho, I think, wow, what a exciting player. He's a player that gets you off your seat. And every time I've watched him for City, he does look very exciting. However, and Frank, this is the other thing I wanted to mention on him. Does this concern you or not? 29 matches played, 1 goal, 8 assists last season in the Premier League. Do you think that's enough? And I know I said his return is basically 1 goal contribution every 2 games when you thin it out with Girona and National as well. But are you a bit surprised for that lack of return or not?
I'm a little bit concerned, but not massively. I am, because on paper I ain't very good. Certainly the goals. The assists are solid, but when you sort of add it into context, is he was 21, his first year in the country. He's adapting. He's not really a player that probably suits Pep's system naturally anyway. I mean, we've seen what he's done with Grealish. Doku's the same. I think he's better than Doku, by the way. But Doku's the same. Savinho. There's been enough players over the years that Pep's had that in these sort of, certainly at City, that he's kind of made boring. and made dull and taken away that freedom and that flair. And I think he's probably a player that requires that freedom and flair to make him progress and make him a better player. So yeah, I mean, I would say it does concern me, but I think with the right system, the right players around him, and I think Thomas Frank is one of those people that probably gets the best out of players. We've seen that a lot. Given what he did with Vista and Mbeumo, I think it would be a really, really, really astute signing.
Absolutely. Guys, put in the chat one word in the chat. I normally do a poll, but I'd rather see your pictures in the chat and your opinions in the chat. So give me a yes to Savinho if you would like to sign him. Give me a no if you don't. And if you don't want Savinho, let me know which player you would sign instead, which would be very, very interesting. But, Frank, let's talk about, for the last few minutes. Go on. You're on mute.
Sorry, that's my bad. I undone it. That's kind of what I was saying at that point. Yeah, I think City play like that. They play dull, they play sideways, and they break you down. And a lot of the time, their midfielders pop up with goals. Obviously, Haaland, and he created a lot for Haaland last season. I mean, he's creating numbers. His assist numbers on that thing we looked at a minute ago. He's in the 89th percentile. Like, his assist numbers are very good. So yeah, I think obviously you'd have to add a couple more goals. I'd want him to hit maybe 10 goals next season, 10, 15 goals, as you'd want Kudus to do the same. Odobert, Tel, Solanke, a lot of them. They all need to be sort of chipping in with goals, because we don't have like we used to have Kane, who used to hit you 30. We don't have one player that's going to guarantee you 25 goals. So they all need to chip in. But I think it'd be a good signing.
100%. A lot of people saying yes to Savinho. I haven't seen many no's yet, and I think, yeah, like you said, his assists. And what's the point? FC's made a good point. It says Savinho did have a great season for Girona with 9 goals and 10 assists in 37 games, so a much better return there. But City's tactics may be cooking what is an exciting player that's destined to do greater things at other clubs potentially. So interesting stuff. We should then buy Eze and El Canu, says David Clark. Interesting to bring that up, because I wanted to bring up how we could potentially, and guys, don't put this as a certain for sure, but how we could potentially line up if we sign Savinho and Eze. Because for me, Frank, that front four looks far, far better than what we have been lining up with in pre-season, right?
Yeah, it does. I mean, that 3 behind Solanke, and I'm a big Solanke fan, by the way, but that 3 behind Solanke is exciting. I'm not saying, obviously, we have one of them right now, so we need to not get ahead of ourselves and be too over the top. But that 3 would be like thrilling to watch, I think. When you can picture it, when they're playing well, and we had it under Ange a couple of times, I think, where we'd sort of, and I think we did it under Conte a little bit as well, that Tottenham would score 1 and then all of a sudden there'd be 3-0 up after 10 minutes later. They got, in quick succession, they got into their rhythm. And you could see that 3 behind Solanke being, once they got into a rhythm and they clicked together, they could be like unstoppable for bits of games where they could just control it and they could be so exciting. It's certainly ones that would get you off your seat. And I think for a long time we've lacked that at Tottenham, having wingers and players that actually genuinely excite you. Like, Kane was obviously fantastic and excited me and whatever, and Son, of course, but they were also quite, maybe Son was probably more functional in that he did his role perfectly well. But we haven't had players that probably they don't even know what their next move is, but they know it's probably going to work. And that's really exciting, because we haven't had that for a long time. I've been impressed with bits of Kudus in pre-season, but if you add another one, if not both of them, to that, I mean, it could be like a recipe for like proper success.
That's what we like to see. That's what we like to hear. Success. I've just put a question in the chat, Frank. Say, would Eze and Savinho make Spurs' window a 10 out of 10? I think that's quite an interesting question, because maybe people would still think we need something else. But I certainly think if we got those 2, what are you saying, Frank? Do you think that would be 10 out of 10 or not?
I don't, because I'm miserable.
Because you don't.
No,
Because let me guess. Because we haven't got rid of Richarlison. Is that what you're going to say?
pretty much. I mean, if it was literally those two came in, Richarlison, Solomon, Gill, Basuma have probably all got to go. I think we're still missing a left back. I said down here the other day that I don't think Spence is a left back. I know he's had good moments at left back. I don't think he's a left back. I think against Bayern Munich he struggled. I think in this system he struggled. I think naturally he is a right back. We bought him as a right back. I want him to play as a right back. I think they need to go out and sign a left back. And I think on top of that, if they get rid of Vuskovic, who we'll talk about shortly, he goes. They've got Romero, they've got Van der Ven, who are both injury prone. They've got Kevin Danso. Dragusin's now out. Takai is out. And Vuskovic is going. They currently have one. They currently have 3 centre halves. So I think they probably could do with another centre half. So a 10, a left winger, a striker, a left back, and a centre half. Then maybe it'll be a 10 out of 10.
But
and Richarlison going.
Do you know what, mate? I agree with you, but I feel like we were talking about 2 weeks ago having too many centre backs. So I don't know what's happened there. Let's quickly get on the Vuskovic news as well. And we're going to wrap things up very, very shortly because, Frank, I know you have to go. But this is the latest on Eze, guys. I know we've been discussing him as well, intertwined with Savinho. But according to Fabrizio Romano on his latest podcast, he said he's always been on Tottenham's list, so he for sure remains of interest. It's Interest FC again, Frank. That's all we are, Interest FC. But that is the latest on Eberechi Eze. Obviously, just won the Community Shield the other day, beating Liverpool, which was a big surprise in my opinion, but helps Liverpool fans because I've seen some stats going around, bit off topic, that apparently the last 10 seasons or something, or maybe more, the winner of the Community Shield's never won the league, won the Premier League after, and I think Liverpool are going to be hot favourites to win the Premier League, especially with that team. We know what kind of player Eze is. We know what he offers. We know how good he would be in the 10. There's just a few more stats if you want to, digest it even further. I'm sure we'll be talking about Eze again very soon, guys. But I did bring up a few stats. Hopefully, give you an idea and food for thought in terms of how he compares against positional peers in the men's Big 5 league and UCL and UEL. But Frank, we just mentioned about centre backs, and I wanted to bring up something you've put into the slides today via Kicker, that Luka Vuskovic has given the green light to a loan move to Hamburg, and now the club is just waiting for Spurs to give their final approval. I thought, honestly, mate, and correct me if I'm wrong, I thought we'd be seeing more of Vuskovic this season, almost as him and Danso being the backups for Romero and Van der Ven. I thought Vuskovic was very much, top 2 or 3 backups for that position, no?
Yeah, I certainly thought so as well. I mean, obviously, Dragusin, I don't know when he's back. I thought it was September, October time. Maybe they know that he's going to be back a lot sooner than we know. It's a nice comment in there. Maybe he's going to be back a lot sooner than we know. And solely, they know more than we do. So it's hard to really comment. I like Dragusin, actually, which is, might shock some people. I think Dragusin was probably one that was hung out to dry a bit in the system of last year. And so I think with a proper structured system, I think he'll actually be a good defender, as we saw him when he was in the Euros with Romania and at Genoa. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit surprised, but as I say, maybe they've got one coming in. Maybe Dragusin is actually not that far away at all, but they just sort of shielded him a little bit from pre-season just to ease him through. I don't know. I would like to hope there's someone else coming in, but either way, hopefully good news.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, technically a win-win. If we keep him, great. But if he does go out on loan, at the end of the day, he's going to get great experience starting many more games, especially for Hamburg. You'd expect him to be a starter for sure. The other piece of news I wanted to bring you guys, I'm sure you all saw, Mikey Moore turned 18 today, and what a present to get a new long-term deal at Tottenham. Obviously, we know he's gone out on loan to Rangers, which in my opinion is an incredible loan move for him. We've seen so many different players perform very, very well in the Scottish Premier League and got very valuable loans. I'm thinking about Alfie Dorrington, who's definitely come on as a player, playing at Aberdeen last season, winning the Scottish FA Cup there. But there's been many examples where players, even at Rangers, have had really good careers on loan. I think this is a great move for him, and I think it's brilliant news we've signed him on a longer term deal. Frank, anything to add? I just think Mikey Moore, hopefully we'll see a great loan move for him this season. Invaluable experience, getting a few goals and assists, hopefully, and then on back to Tottenham Hotspur sort of next season time.
Yeah, it's a good move. It's a good move because it's kind of a mix between the Championship and what he'd be like at Tottenham. The Championship is obviously tough and quite a physical league, as Scotland is. And so you're going to allow him to sort of get, whacked in tackles and things. And that's good for his development because I think he probably needs to grow up a little bit as well. And that sounds wrong, but it just naturally, I think he needs to probably bulk up a bit and be ready for the Premier League. But having said that, he's probably also technically one of, if not the best player in that league. He'll certainly be up there. And so he will be able to dominate games when he's playing well. I have no doubt about that. Like we saw the Alkmaar game last year. He played away at Palace in the league. I thought he was pretty decent. We've seen him enough times last year that to suggest that he could dominate in Scottish League games. No disrespect to Scotland, obviously, but the level is slightly lower. So he could certainly do well over there. I think it's a good move. Obviously, they're in the Champions League as well. They got Russell Martin in charge, who I like a lot. I know he didn't do the best job with Southampton in the Premier League, but I think he's a good bloke, and I think he's a good coach as well, actually. So I know they've drawn their first 2 league games, but I think they will hit the ground running soon. And obviously, hopefully now he can get his international clearance or whatever it is and get that sorted. And then hopefully in the next, I'm hoping he'll be in the squad for Thursday nights or Wednesday night, whenever it is, their Champions League game against Plazen, second leg. If not, then I'd expect it to be in the squad at the weekend.
Sounds good. Sounds like they need a new star man, a new star boy, perhaps. Interesting to see how his loan move plays out. But guys, that is about all we have time for today. Really appreciate all the support. Before you all click off and go and run and watch some more content on YouTube, I know what it's like. I know what happens. Please do me a massive favor. Smash the like button. It's free to do so. Smash the subscribe button. Also free to do so. Ring on those notification bells if you never want to miss us going live. That's also free to do so. If you want to support the channel in any way financially, we've got a membership option where we're going to be doing member shows for you guys to come on and talk to us after matches. Have your rants, have your opinions. So that will be good fun. Please do become a member. It's below in the description, and send in your super chats as well, and comment below your thoughts on all the news to do with Savinho and Eze. Guys, I am going to be on Spurs Talk Show very shortly, so if we could all go over to Spurs Talk Show now and maybe put a little comment in his chat saying SR Raid or from SpursRelated and show him all the love over there. I will be over there in just 5 or 10 minutes. I'm seeing people in the chat saying, stop plugging the subs. It's part of what we got to do. What's the point? It's part of what we got to do. But I really appreciate everyone's comments today and everyone's support. I'll be over on Spurs Talk Show in just a few minutes, and I'll see you over there. Thanks to Frank as well. And as always, guys, remember, come on, you Spurs, get these done.